Life is what happens to you while you're busy making other plans. I think Lennon said that. We all have those long ride plans to faraway places, which for me usually ends up in the Trottle Shuttle Biker Cafe every Sunday morning with a cheese pasta on the table. The same would have happened this Sunday as well had it not been for these two guys. Rahul Banerjee, the GM of Ducati Mohan Motors Kolkata, and Shomak Mitra, the president of the Ducati Owners Club here. I was just given a rough idea about the destination and a promise to ride one of the Ducati motorcycles. We were heading towards Taki, a border town of West Bengal, very close to Bangladesh. I was kind of excited waking up that Sunday morning, heading to the Ducati dealership, not knowing which motorcycle I would get to ride. Shomak suggested that I try out that Multistrada 1260S, and frankly, I was a bit intimidated.
I didn't think this bike would be this easy to ride. Trust me, it's a big hulking thing. It's way over 200 kgs, which I was honestly intimidated, and I thought it would be high, but it is not.
With the Multistrada's huge size and weight of 232 kilograms, and though the Indian version does come with 825mm lower seat height, I wondered whether it would be like a traditional ADV bike with not that much front and wheel, and whether the weight would affect the agility. I was wrong on both counts. The Multistrada is a surprisingly agile motorcycle, and the 158 bhp of power takes care of the weight and propels this bike forward the moment you open the throttle. I've ridden the Kawasaki Z900, and this 1262cc Multistrada felt just as agile. A lot of my subscribers tell me that they want a naked bike with pillion comfort, and I think they don't consider motorcycles like the Multistrada just because they think it won't be as agile or fun to ride. Anybody looking for a naked bike to tour or with pillion comfort should give this a try, especially the more budget-friendly 950 version. But this isn't a motorcycle review, it is a ride film, and before we proceed, I request you to hit that subscribe button and turn on that notifications so that you don't miss out on my future videos. I might occasionally obsess about the Multistrada, like the time I could just jump over the speed breakers where my friend Rohan had to carefully roll over it on his 959 Panigale. But hold that thought. The other time when the Multistrada dodged obstacles like a much smaller bike would, or when I opened the gas a tiny bit and shot up to 200 km/h mark. Okay, I might have opened the throttle more than a tiny bit.
Let's see what this motorcycle can do.
But that's the way this bike makes you feel. It's very stable and secure with a composed feeling that I've not felt on any other motorcycle so far. And there is no rider fatigue at all. Back to Rohan. He's just 19, but he has been riding the Panigale on his learner license and finally got his permanent license last year. Rahul said he should get a special achievement award for touring on his 959 Panigale, and I have to agree. Touring on a national highways is a different thing, but touring on these B roads with 57 speed breakers and urban areas with a lot of heating up from the Panigale just takes a special amount of patience and tolerance. On the other hand of the comfort meter was Shomakda on his 1200 Enduro, another Multistrada that was big and intimidating to look at, and probably another easy bike to ride. I don't know why people who are going for cruisers don't give the Multistrada a chance. All through the ride, Shomakda cruised very comfortably and evenly at a decent pace and arrived fresh when the ride ended. And then there was the Scrambler, another all-purpose motorcycle from Ducati, though the approach is quite different here. I think I have a newfound respect for the Scrambler after seeing how easily Rahul was riding it. I mean, if the Multistrada is about spoiling you with the electronic suspension, wheelie control, traction control, cornering ABS, and the base seats that I've ever experienced on any motorcycle, the Scrambler saves you a lot of money and represents the more simple way of life. Hop onto one and just ride it into the horizon. Even if you're a beginner rider, you can enjoy this bike. Maybe not as powerful as the other naked bikes, but it does have two things: riding comfort and decent off-road capabilities, something other naked bikes would struggle at. And pillion comfort is phenomenal as well. Our group was pretty big. A Multistrada 950, the Ducati Super Sport, Monster 821, and all the other motorcycles that I already mentioned. So many exotic Italian superbikes rolling through the rural Bengal isn't a common sight. The Panigale and the Multistrada got the most amount of attention. The awe-inspiring size of the Multistrada was often stopping people in the midst of whatever they were doing. But from our experience, we have learned that all attention is not the best attention. After Anbi got shot in one of his rides and his bike got hijacked by robbers, we have learned to say lesser prices for our motorcycles.
Ducati না এমনি ঘুরতে এসেছি কলকাতা So the Multistrada 1260S, absolutely amazed by this motorcycle. All the bikes are completely dirty. That's how they're meant to be if you ride them. This is the Monster 821. If you guys haven't checked that review, do check it out. It's the #1 ranked review right now.
5 lakhs for a Multistrada might sound ridiculous, but that is the type of valuation that we give to the locals when they ask questions about pricing. Most people are good and mean well, but we would rather be safe than sorry. The distance to Taki isn't very long, and when you are on such bikes, it appears even smaller. Rohan, however, felt like it was 200 kilometers away, and for the final few kilometers, he switched to the Monster 821.
It's so stable that it's giving me the confidence to go simultaneous braking, so that's one big advantage. I really like that. And also this is a bike that I am finding myself not complaining about much, because everything's changeable. You find the suspension too soft, make it hard, put it to sport mode, be happy about it.
I went on to ride the Pani Galley.
From the most comfortable bike in the lot to the least comfortable bike, the tables turn. Now I'm on the 959 Pani Galley. Completely different feeling. Haven't ridden this for quite a while. Never liked the wet mode, so we're gonna change it to sport. This is like life. Things can change anytime in the moment. I have a lot of power, but I don't know how to use it. This bike feels tiny after the Multistrada. I mean, I remember switching to this bike from my bike, didn't feel this small. Right now it feels like I'm riding a mini bike.
And the contrast in riding position couldn't be stronger. Just before we reached Taki, I was stopped by a group of locals who performed a quick Raksha Bandhan ritual on me. I found it pretty amusing.
So we're here. Can we really do this? Okay, if you guys didn't get it, watching from abroad, today's Rakhi, something where people have this tradition.
Our resort was a modest one near the river. We parked our bikes, and after a quick breakfast, it was the time for the boat ride. Getting on the boat was pretty tricky, and of course we had forgotten the water bottles. We ended up turning the boat back, and Shubham caught the bottles being thrown from land.
Good catch!
Then it was all smooth sailing. But of course, nothing is complete in India without a call from the family. Rohan's mother called. We told her we had crossed the border and had reached Bangladesh. Technically, half of the river belonged to India and the other half to Bangladesh. So we were in Bangladesh after crossing the half line. But of course, she didn't believe us. So he handed the phone over to me, and the conversation that followed was absolutely hilarious.
আরে অন গড বলছি দুকাটির সঙ্গে আরে আরে রাইডে এসেছিলাম নৌকা করে বাংলাদেশ চলে এসেছি আমি কি করব কোনো কাজ ছিল না আর কি মারছে না সত্যি করো
এই তো আমিও আছি বলো
রাহুলও আছে না কথা বলো
সত্যি বাংলাদেশে আছি অ্যাকচুয়ালি তো ওই আর কি তো এখন একটু ঘুরবে নৌকা টোকায় তারপরে ভিডিও চলছে তো এই তো ফিরবো তো এই বাংলাদেশ থেকে এই ঘোরাবে নৌকাটা আরও আধ ঘন্টা 1 ঘন্টা লাগবে আবার ইন্ডিয়া ঢুকতে তারপরে আবার এই ঘন্টা দুয়েক আরও বাইক টাইক চালাতে হবে তারপরে ডুকাটি শোরুমে পৌঁছাবো তারপর ওখান থেকে সব বাড়ি যাবে আর কি আর বলছে টুনির মা তুমি নাকি কথা শুনছো না একদম কথা শুনি হ্যাঁ আসবো সময় হয় We're heading back right now enjoying the relaxed cruisers a little bit of a splatter I think the rains have started so the going back ride I hope it doesn't rain because no rain liners for most of the riders will get wet the cameras will get wet that's even worse so buddy's just chilling out on the boat right now this ride turned out to be really good I've done a lot of rides which ended in boat rides those vlogs were really successful and I hope this one turns out really good.
It was time for the return. I was back on the Pani Galley and had to endure the frying pan heat on my inner thighs going through the village. Finally, the heat became too much.
Guys, so what happened is the 959 Pani Galley has heated up. So the entire crew's waiting over here. We're waiting for the Pani Galley to cool down and after it cool down we will start our journey again. 2 of the bikes are missing. Probably they have gone far ahead, especially the 1260 Multistrada. So that's really fast, even doesn't need to slow down for the bumpers. So I believe that he has gone on ahead and some other bike, I'm not really sure which one.
After the stopover, I went into the other bike that I really wanted to ride, the Ducati Multistrada 950. It's got a little less power and not so much electronics but does 200 kilometers per hour quite easily, and yes, I was riding with a pillion, that too the GM of Ducati. Apologies if the ride got a little bit too fast, but I just loved following the Pani Galley 959. The smaller Multistrada still feels like a big bike and it had a Termignoni slip-on exhaust which made the soundtrack very sweet and just like music. I opened the throttle extra hard just to listen to the soundtrack over and over again. I just couldn't believe that even with a pillion, the motorcycle handled the same way as it would with a solo rider. The ride back home was just as fun and felt super comfortable on the 950 Multistrada.
And we are gaining on the rest of the Ducati boys. Ready to perform a few overtakes on them. That's what the Multistrada is. It is the, I've searched for the king of the highways. In a way, Hayabusa does feel like the king of the highways in a lot of ways. This one is the true king, the undisputed king, because it's not as powerful as the Hayabusa. But hey, it does 200 pretty easily. I mean, not this one. I'm sure this one does over 200 as well. But the 1260, I think, is the undisputed king of the highways because not all highways have the best, condition. So even on the bad highways, the Multistrada rules. Good one, it rules. Twisties, put it to sport mode and just whack it through those corners. I'm having a pillion, this bike set to soft on the front and hard at rear, a weird suspension setup, and still getting pretty good. And the riding position, oh my god, it is so upright, so plush, so comfortable. Can you stand on this bike? I don't know. I wouldn't stand at 134 kilometers per hour.
We stopped after reaching Kolkata as one of our riders had taken a wrong turn and he couldn't be contacted. So after waiting there for a while, we decided to head back to the dealership, and then the shocking news came in.
So one of the riders is lost, is gone off hundreds of kilometers away. He's in Canning right now, which is near Sundarban, I believe. Actually, you know what happened is like he completely got lost into the Ducati experience. So that's why he's not here. He's enjoying the ride. He has arrived somewhere else. He didn't realize it wasn't Kolkata. Then he looked at the signboard, it said Canning. It was like, that spells wrong. Oh no. So he'll probably arrive tomorrow or maybe 2-3 hours. It's a 2-hour ride from here, so you know.
The Ducati motorcycles are a different level of enjoyment, and I've heard a lot of complaints that they don't sound as good as inline fours, but I have to admit that I've never had as much fun on the other mid-range inline four motorcycles. Sure, a full-fared liter bike, I've had immense satisfaction on many inline four engines, but on 600 to 800cc class motorcycles, always the twins seem more fun to ride, and it's not something I can explain here, and honestly I wouldn't even try. I just want you guys to try and experience it. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you on my next adventure. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell icon to enable notifications. Both of the reviews of these Multistrada motorcycles are coming very soon, and also our next adventure. So stay subscribed and don't forget to hit that bell. This is Rahul. Goodbye.